Group work disputes. We've all been there, and if you haven't, lucky you. Academic assignments can be challenging enough, and with the added stress of coordinating group cohesion throughout distance education can be a whole new ballgame of stress and difficulty. But it doesn't have to be. We're here to guide you through the ins and outs of group work disputes and how to manage and prevent them. Here is an example of a conflict occurring in a group chat regarding a school project. It is clear that there is a building tension in the conversation. Some feel that they are putting more effort into the project than others, and that their work is below the standard contribution. Each member is displaying a different style of conflict, which we will further discuss in a few minutes. Group work conflicts arise in many ways. Each individual will experience a different dispute altercation depending on your situation. Most common conflicts in group work assignments include personality clashes, mistrust, uneven communication, power issues, and personal agendas, and disagreements over positions, strategies, or opinions.
Distance education can contribute to group work conflict and even intensify it based on a variety of factors. Some include a lack of personal relationship with other students because you haven't met them face-to-face, experiencing internet connection troubles which deters students from accessing group meetings or contributing content on time, difficulties getting in touch with students based on whether or not they use their phone a lot or respond in a timely manner, and also time zone differences such as opposite sleep and work schedules, which affect finding a good time to set up group work meetings. While some of these factors are inevitable and make it more difficult to manage participating in group work, being aware of these potential difficulties ahead of time can make approaching the project and project division easier and more fair to avoid conflict arising.
Have you ever talked to someone and looked up only to realize that they're not really listening? Doing things like checking their phone while you speak or responding with, "What? Sorry, can you repeat that? I wasn't listening." We've all been there, and it's not a good feeling. There are some simple steps that you can take to let the speaker know you are actively listening to them, such as asking relevant questions to what they've just said, presenting positive body language, nodding while they make statements, and maintaining eye contact throughout the interaction. These small steps truly make a difference in having engaging, positive interactions with people.
Listening is the most fundamental component of communication skills. It is an active process in which a conscious decision is made to understand another. It's incredibly important to not interrupt with questions or comments when you want someone to feel that you're truly listening to them. For example, if a fellow student's explaining why they have yet to complete their part of the assignment, cutting them off while they're speaking and saying things like, "Well, the rest of us may time to do it," is likely to upset them and escalate negative feelings. Listen to what they have to say, be respectful, and once they're done talking, express your concern civilly. A more appropriate interaction in this situation would be to actively listen while the student's justifying the reason for not completing the assignment yet, and then responding with, "I hear that what you're saying is that you haven't had time to do the assignment yet because you've been working a lot and just haven't had a chance to get around to it. I wish that we could have discussed this earlier so we could have planned accordingly. Moving forward, what's the earliest point you feel you'll be able to have your part of the assignment done?" There are many ways in which we can practice active listening that we have just discussed. The most important key concepts include listen to understand what they're really saying, ask deeper questions, take nonverbal cues and be mindful of the other party's body language and facial expressions, reflect on what you've just heard, withhold judgment, avoid interruptions, and practice silence. These will assist in individuals feeling respected, which will encourage friendly and professional interactions. Although differences of opinions may arise in group work, ensuring that someone feels heard and respected will make addressing the conflict much more approachable. Another useful skill in managing and preventing group work conflict is having self-awareness. This is the ability to focus on yourself and how your actions, thoughts, or emotions do or don't align with your internal standards. Self-aware individuals are able to evaluate themselves, manage their emotions, and align their behaviors with their values. In group work, a large reason why conflict arises is because individuals feel that they have a lack of control of the situation, especially in wanting or not wanting a student to do something. One area you do have control over is yourself and your own actions. Being aware of how you are portraying your words, attitudes, and interactions with others will allow you to critically think about your position and how it influences the other person's reaction. For example, your leadership style will largely influence how you interact with others in a group work assignment. Awareness of your style may help you recognize and best control your position in a peer interaction. Self-awareness is important because when we have a better understanding of ourselves, we are empowered to recognize areas of strength as well as identify areas that we would like to make improvements on. This sense of self will encourage a more positive interaction with others and allow you to understand correctly how they perceive you. So we've discussed how to actively listen to another when they're speaking, and also what's involved in gauging awareness of your own personal position and interactions. But now let's look at how to effectively communicate your position and requests. The skill of effective communication highlights the ability to convey information to another, both effectively and efficiently. An important way to improve the likelihood of being able to transmit a message well is by actively avoiding saying the first thing that comes to your head. Instead, take a moment to pay close attention to what you say and how you're going to say it. Focus on the meaning of what you want to communicate to the other person. Think about what truly is important to address and the things that are bothering you as a result of the conflict existing. Consider how they may receive your message and tailor your communication to fit the situation accordingly. Effective communication involves clarity of your message, ensuring that the other person knows your specific concerns rather than your emotional feelings towards them resulting from the dispute. Having self-awareness, which as we know is the ability to focus on your actions and position in the conflict, will help navigate through acting on thoughts versus feelings. Additionally, using appropriate body language to communicate with other students will be extremely beneficial. Although you may be telling someone, "It's fine, just please get the assignment done as soon as you can," if you're rolling your eyes and standing there crossing your arms while speaking that message, it will be understood much differently. Lastly, providing constructive feedback. Constructive feedback means giving useful comments and suggestions that contribute towards a positive outcome, better process, and improved behaviors. Effective feedback is an extremely important tool to practice for interacting with others in group work assignments.
We've all had experiences with conflict, whether it's with our family, friends, co-workers, or peers. But what exactly is conflict? A serious disagreement or argument between two or more people. Conflict is inevitable and can result in a positive or negative outcome. I'm sure many of you are familiar with conflict resolution, as many workplaces and schools will incorporate workshops or manuals on how to better resolve conflict. Conflict resolution helps us deal with any issue or disagreement that may arise and better equip you with tools for the future. How do you engage in conflict? There are several conflict styles, and usually we learn to deal with conflict depending on how we saw it growing up, whether good or bad. This is a time for you to think back to your most recent conflicts and evaluate how you handled yourself. Are you disappointed, proud, embarrassed? Self-reflection plays a major role in figuring out your style of conflict management. The collaborative conflict style is a great one. You work with the other party to come to a resolution that fits for you both. Are you the collaborating type? Are you highly assertive and highly cooperative? Do you seek to reach an agreement that is fair for all parties and help build a trusting relationship? A collaborative person is interdependent. They focus on what everyone wants and works with them to achieve it. A benefit of the collaborative conflict style is you take the time to let everyone feel heard. The downfall of this is how lengthy and how time-consuming it may be. Someone who has a compromising conflict style is willing to give a little to get a little. They are both half assertive and half cooperative. Compromising is a great way to start a conversation with someone who is stuck in their ways. In our texting conflict, you could see Sophie was willing to put in more work than she originally had to. Sophie was looking to compromise with her group members. The benefit? You give and get something at the same time. The downfall? This is not always sustainable. If you are always compromising, you may feel you are being taken advantage of. For this reason, compromising may not be a long-term solution. The competitive conflict style is for someone who very obviously is very competitive. They are highly assertive with their eye on the prize, but are not very cooperative. If your conflict style is competitive, you are very goal-oriented and value is an outcome. Very protective and forceful, the competitive conflict style means they will get what they want. In our texting conflict earlier, you could see that both Lauren and Julieta were more competitive than the rest of the group members, making demands of their group mates. The benefit? You get your point across quickly and protect what you believe is right. The downfall? Some people may not want to interact with you. They already know what your intentions are. The accommodating conflict style is commonly for people who will put others' needs ahead of theirs. They are highly cooperative but not very assertive. People who are more accommodating will try to maintain the relationship and understand what is most important to you, as well as how to come to that resolution. As you could see in our earlier conflict, Fatima was willing to accommodate her group members and put in more work. The benefit to the accommodating conflict style is you soothe people. There will be no escalating as the accommodator will make sure to put someone else's needs ahead of theirs. The downfall, your needs may not be heard. You may feel like a doormat, that you are being taken advantage of constantly. The avoiding conflict style is for someone who will avoid conflict at all costs. They would rather do whatever it takes to avoid conflict than to confront it to come to a resolution. This conflict style is not very productive and generally seen as a negative one. An avoider will have low assertiveness and low cooperativeness. Alicia, in the earlier texting conflict, was completely avoiding the conflict in her group and not looking to confront anyone regarding the missing group work. The benefit to the avoiding conflict style is that you can take a step back and decide whether or not you want to fight a certain battle. The downfall of the avoiding conflict style is it's not very productive and your needs will likely not be met as they are not being voiced.
In the following clip, you'll see how Michael Scott from the hit TV series The Office depicts what conflict resolution looks like in action.
Understanding your conflict style will allow you to better grow as a person. Why do you react this way? Is there something that triggered it? Once you are able to recognize your triggers, you will better understand why your conflict style is what it is. Does this take you from being your best self to being your worst self? You should be able to recognize when you are in conflict or when you have hurt someone and recognize this in yourself. Once you are able to identify your conflict style, this will better prepare you for dealing with conflict and difficult situations in the future. If you find yourself in a conflict with a group member, recognize your conflict style and try to adapt to the situation, looking for the best resolution to come to amongst all parties.
In this exercise, we will show ineffective feedback and try and change it to make it effective. In this example, a group member says, "You're being lazy." Communication is being done with evaluative or judgmental statements. This is not effective feedback and will likely not result in changed behavior. How could you reword the sentence in a way that will offer effective feedback? Here's a tip. It is best to describe exactly the behavior that led to an issue or to the feedback. By doing this, the individual knows exactly what is wrong, and this will give them more guidance about how to fix it. Feedback will be more effective if you avoid judgmental or evaluative statements. If you simply told a group member that they are being lazy, not only is that not kind, but they still are not aware of what actually caused this statement. Be direct and detailed when communicating your feedback. In this scenario, how could effective feedback influence the situation? Here's a situation where a group gets their mark back and one member is not happy with it. A group member uses their pent-up anger and takes it out on another. A student says, "We just got our mark back and we didn't do very well. This is all your fault. Your part was so bad and it brought our mark down. I'm so angry with you." The student receiving this feedback will probably say, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Effective feedback should come as soon as it is appropriate after the behavior or issue, even immediately if possible. Similar to this situation, if you wait too long to communicate feedback, there may not be any way to fix it anymore. In this example, if the student had communicated his issues with part of the group project prior to submitting it, they could have worked together and make it a better project and potentially get a better mark. How would you make this feedback effective? Do you really think that we're going to hand that in? This is an example of asking questions that are really statements or that sound like traps. This type of communication is not very effective and may hurt more than it helps. If you're using statements instead of questions for feedback, often it helps no one. Do you think that this feedback could have been made more effective? Let's look at a way to change it. Instead, you could ask relevant questions which seek information that lets the receiver know why the information is being sought and gives them a clear sense that the sender doesn't know the answer. Some examples of how you could say this could be, "Are you finished with your part of the project? If so, I feel like it may need some more detail." Or, "Does your part of the project follow the guidelines or instructions? I'm just wondering this because ... When providing feedback, give clear examples and the reasons why you may be upset or you're giving feedback. An easy trick is to add in the word because. Start off by communicating your feedback or concern, or whatever you'd like to say to a group member. Then say because, and then state the reason why you think or feel that way. What would be an effective way to handle this scenario? Student A is having trouble understanding the assignment and the content. Work has been delegated to them, however, they don't know how to complete it, and they're just confused. Student B is frustrated with student A because they have not completed their portion of the work. They have a good understanding of the assignment and would like it done a certain way. Now take a minute to think and jot down some ideas about how you think this situation would be handled in an effective and respectful way. Here are some ways that it could be dealt with effectively. Remember, communication is key with group work. If student B is frustrated, an effective way to communicate with student A would be to reach out and check in. Ask them how they're doing with the assignment or if they need any help. Do they understand the assignment and content? Do they need help from the other members? This will get a better understanding of the root of the problem and fix it in an effective and respectful manner before jumping to conclusions. If you have more knowledge about the content, assignment, or have certain expectations as a group member, make sure you share them to the other members. Don't expect other group members to know what you're thinking. By communicating with other group members, together you can set expectations and help each other. If student B is having trouble with an assignment, they could reach out to their group members and explain that they are struggling and need help. Maybe they just need something to be clarified or need a better understanding. If they don't feel comfortable doing that, they can access the various resources that they have available as a student. They could ask their professor for help, perhaps a teaching assistant if their program has one, a tutor, or something like the Humber's peer-assisted learning support.
Fair objective working agendas are a great way to organize group work projects, ensure the content is distributed evenly, and be aware of what's going on throughout the process. This agenda will hold students accountable for their portion of the project and is a helpful tool in avoiding conflict arising. The fair objective working agenda includes things like each member's name and the best way to contact them, expectations regarding the preparation for and attendance of group meetings, also the frequency and duration of the meetings and communication. The agenda involves tasks, roles, and responsibilities along with due dates, as well as an agreed upon method for peer feedback during the project so that problems can be addressed before the project ends. Lastly, something you may consider adding to the working agenda is how you'll deal with unmet expectations. An example of this would be talking to the professor.
One of the biggest problems that individuals face is not knowing where to start when it comes to handling a conflict. For this reason, Humber College created the Dispute Resolution Clinic, which is a service that provides individuals with guidance through their hardships by way of conflict coaching and mediation. The DRC is a service that has enabled support for students navigating through interpersonal conflicts, including group project conflicts, cultural conflicts, relationship conflicts, and academic appeals. While it is offered by Humber College, these disputes don't have to happen on campus. They can occur anywhere off campus. The service is entirely confidential and free. The Dispute Resolution Clinic was created in 2013 by students of the Alternative Dispute Resolution Program at Humber. It was made in partnership with St. Stephen's Community House in Etobicoke. The Dispute Resolution Clinic aims to provide students with alternative dispute resolution experience under the supervision of qualified community mediators, to teach students about community mediation, to provide the local school community and the greater community of South Etobicoke with access to free conflict resolution services, and it aims to provide mediation to community members in the South Etobicoke area. As part of the services offered by the DRC, conflict coaching is a one-on-one process in which a trained coach assists you in gaining insight, competence, and confidence to effectively manage and engage in intrapersonal conflict. This transformative process will help you grow both personally and professionally as an individual. Conflict coaching strives to help you set your goals, understand the conflict you are facing, deconstruct the conflict by exploring multiple perspectives, and it can help you explore the options that are available to you, its implementation, and allow for deeper evaluation. Is this a service of interest to you? Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the services are now offered online and are by appointment only. It is important to keep in mind that these meetings will remain confidential and are not recorded. Getting in touch is quick and easy. Follow the link, select Book Appointment, and select a date that is convenient for you.
Humber College offers a variety of ways to combat group work conflict throughout their online peer-assisted learning support page. The key tips for success include remaining positive throughout the duration of the assignment, setting check-ins and deadlines with your group members ahead of time so everyone is on the same page and can be held accountable, agreeing on the best way to communicate, whether it be Blackboard. Some may feel it is easier to use platforms such as WhatsApp, Facebook, Zoom, or simply texting. Determine what each person is responsible for and what happens if a person does not complete their task by creating a fair, objective working process agenda and setting room to have enough time to evaluate the entire work piece before submission to ensure best performance. These simple tips for success will make a vast difference in managing and preventing group work disputes.
Team charters can be a great way to minimize disputes among groups. It's always best to achieve a collective agreement at the beginning of your work. What will each member do to support and enable this team's success? Consider identifying each other's strengths and what they can bring to the group. This is where self-awareness comes in. This could be technological strengths or writing skills. Areas of weakness where collaboration is needed, such as if someone is not good with editing. Expectations from each team member. What is expected from each team member? The team's goals. So what would success look like to your team? How will you measure if success has been achieved? Also consider identifying clear roles and responsibilities of each task being carried out and by whom. Who is doing what? And lastly, outlining specific deadlines. When are they going to do it? This will help to ensure proper communication and minimize the risk of conflict arising.
Throughout this presentation, we have shown you 3 main points. The first being different techniques of identifying causes of group problems, the second being what each conflict style looks like, and lastly, we have provided you with external tools for extra guidance and assistance. We hope you are better equipped in dealing with potential future group problems. If you still feel that you need some extra assistance, the Humber Dispute Resolution Clinic is here to help you. Thanks for listening.